Just before he reached the shoulder, he heard the unmistakable thump-ker-thumpity-thump, thump-ker-thumpity-thump of a flat tire. It was the right rear tire. Mason looked at it ruefully, took off his coat, folded it, and tossed it on the back of the front seat. He rolled up his sleeves, removed the ignition key from the lock, took a flashlight from the glove compartment, and walked to the rear of the car, where he unlocked and opened the trunk. His suitcases, as well as those of Della Street, were in the trunk. He had to remove them and then rummage around, finding the tools with which to make the tire change. With the aid of his flashlight, he assembled the bumper jack, got it into place, and started jacking the car up. He saw headlights in the distance behind him, headlights that came swooping down the long, straight stretch of road at high speed. As Mason raised the car so the flat tire was clearing the ground, he heard the whine of the tires on the other car, the sound of the motor. Then, with a roar, the car swept on past, the current of wind created by its passage causing the jacked-up car to sway slightly on its springs. Mason watched the taillight vanishing into the distance at a rate of speed which he estimated must have been around 80. Mason got out the lug wrench, pried off the hubcap, got off the flat tire, and dragged the spare tire out from the trunk. He rolled the wheel into position, lifted it, got it fitted on the lugs, and completed the chore of carefully tightening them and put the hubcap back into position. Then he released the jack, got the tools back into the trunk, and then had to replace the various bags and suitcases before he could get underway once more. He found the address he wanted without much difficulty. Milter had not even bothered to assume an alias, but a printed section torn from a business card and placed in the little holder over the doorbell said simply, Leslie L. Milter. Mason rang the doorbell twice. There was no response. He pounded on the door. He heard the sound of steps on the stairs to his left. The door opened. A young, attractive brunette in a rakish hat and glossy fur coat started across the porch, saw him standing there, hesitated a moment, then turned for a frankly curious appraisal. The lawyer smiled and raised his hat. She answered his smile.
I don't think he's in.
You haven't any idea where I might find him?
No, I haven't.
She laughed slightly and said,
I hardly know him. I have the apartment which adjoins his. Several people have been in to see him tonight, quite a procession. You weren't... Didn't you have an appointment?
Mason reached a prompt decision. If he isn't home, he said, there's no use of my waiting. He peered at the name card on her doorbell. You must be Miss Alberta Cromwell, if, as you say, you live in the adjoining apartment. I have a car here, Miss Cromwell. Perhaps I can drop you somewhere.
No, thanks. It's only a block to the main street,
Mason said. I rather expected Mr. Milter to be home. I understood he was expecting someone to call, that he had an appointment. Her eyes flashed a quick glance at him.
A young lady?
Mason said cautiously. I wouldn't know. I only understood that he had an appointment and that I would find him at home.
I think there was a young woman called, and I saw a man leaving the house shortly before you came up. I thought at first the man had rung my bell. I was in the kitchen with some water running, and I certainly thought I heard my bell ring.
She laughed, an embarrassed little laugh which showed how nervous she was.
I pressed the buzzer for my visitor to come up. Nothing happened, and then I heard steps on the stairs which went to Mr. Milter's apartment. So I guess it wasn't my bell at all.
Long ago?
No, within the last 15 or 20 minutes.
Do you know how long this visitor stayed? She laughed and said,
My, you talk as though you were a detective. Or a lawyer. You don't know who this girl was, do you?
I just happen to be very interested in Mr. Milter.
Why?
Do you know anything about him? She waited for a perceptible interval before answering that question.
Not very much.
I understand he used to be a detective.
Oh, did he?
I wanted to talk with him about a case on which he'd worked.
Oh.
The young woman hesitated.
Something he'd been working on recently?
She asked. Mason met her eyes. Yes. She laughed suddenly and said,
Well, I've got to be getting on up to town. Sorry I can't help you. Good night.
Mason raised his hat and watched her walk away. From a telephone booth in a drugstore, Mason called Witherspoon's house and asked for Della Street. When he had her on the line, he said, Anything new from Paul Drake, Della?
Yes, Drake's operative telephoned.
What did he say?